you ready? First, we'll monster map it. Then we'll map the code. Soon we'll understand the words. We're on the reading road. Woohoo! Hello, SSP parents and teachers. That will be the introduction the children will hear when they watch the new Snap and Crack. So it's cracking comprehension, Miss Emma style. And I hope you'll like it. They're short and fun activities and the children will get really engaged. Now, the initial stages, you might think about decodable text. So the children can look at the graphemes they're actually working at, decode with fluency, have enough working memory so they can focus on that comprehension. So let's say within the SSP 30-minute phonics program, we want students to use the graphemes they've been covering within a comprehension activity. So they've covered green code level, which was just one representation for the sounds s, at, p, it, n. We went on to the purple code level, and the children are doing this independently at their code level. So they've worked through, and now they're using quite a nice a number of graphemes. We want at all times that they're actually putting these into practice. We're actually using these. So with your traditional Snap and Crack, which you'll have covered in your online training, you snap a photo of the code level text. So this is yellow code level. Snap a photo, put it up on the board, and then you're going to number the lines. Because a main focus within Snap and Crack is, where did you find the information? So you can use these quick activities using the decodable text while the children are working towards the end of yellow. That means the highest number of children can actually work out those words without your help at all, but the planning shows you how to do it. However, we need children exposed to the whole code. Decodable readers are only going to cover the high frequency graphemes. So there are only about 90 in the high frequency graphemes. Think about any phonics program, letters and sounds. Any program that covers phonics systematically is only going to give the high frequency representations, even if they expose children to what they might call alternative spellings. However, there are hundreds of representations for our 46 or so speech sounds. So there's a lot that the children need to actually be able to work with in real books. So what we're doing in this Snap and Crack, cracking comprehension, is I'm extending this Snap and Crack using decodable text, decodable readers at their code level. I'm extending it to include a lot of the words so that we're extending their vocab, focusing on that comprehension, but it means that I can create these for you to use on the whiteboards or on laptops or whatever. It's all there and it follows the same planning every time, which brains like. It's like spaced repetition. The children's brains, they like to know what's going to happen. They like the routine of it all. Like with the 30-minute phonics program, they're reinforcing and consolidating every day. They're going over material. Their brains just ping, 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 because it's a great way for individual students to keep moving up and challenging themselves. So in these basic Snap and Crack, which are following your code level, you can do a lot out of these, even if just a small amount of text, and keep them short and fun. So you can ask questions like, a very basic one. How many fish did he buy at the shop? Now, the children would give a spoken response or a written response, and that doesn't mean they're either going to answer it or write it down. I know that sounds like it, but what I mean is the spoken response might be line 3, 6. Because it's just your spoken response. How many fish? Well, there are 6. Okay, line 3, 6. What would your written response be? And that's when they're going to plan orally the written response. So, line 3, he bought 6 fish at the shop or what have you. But it's got to be the response they would actually write down, because this is a skill. Now, if you always ask them to actually write it down, it just takes so much time. So get them practicing just that oral response. And also, if they have to write it down, often they don't write down their written response because they want to do it quickly. So get them to say, okay, what's your writer's response? So that they're giving a really nice, rich writer's response. So another question might be, did he get to the shop on a scooter? Now, hopefully what you're realizing is that I have not planned any questions. You can literally put it up on the board. You've got 10 minutes spare, 15 minutes spare, take a photo, snap a photo, put it on the board, number it, ask your questions. And you will actually get better at asking questions as well. And you're asking a mixture of questions of things they can find in the text and things they've got to deduce from the text and things that they might see in the picture, the illustration, but they've got to tell you that's not in the text, but I can see something in the illustration, so that's what's given me the response. Or it might be a, what do you think question. So the question I think was, did he get to the shop on a scooter? So the answer would be probably 1, no. That would be perhaps the oral response. So what's your writer's response? Let's have a think about that and let them jiggle it around in their heads and their mouths and what have you, so that they're, really thinking, how could I do it? And they change it and edit it orally, because this is something that they're going to have to be able to do, writing it down, but you don't then have time to edit and to go around and work with 25 children. So just as a class, just as a group, talk about it. Okay, so how are we going to explain in a writer's voice he didn't get there in a scooter? And don't presume, don't have your answers. Let the children talk, because they might say, actually, yes, I do think he got to the scooter. I do think he got to the shop on the scooter, because I think he was on a scooter on a ferry, and ferries allow scooters, because I went on a ferry last week. You have no idea what they're going to say. And of course, if this is a page of a book that they've already read, they're going to say, well, I know this because I've actually read the book, and that's another discussion. But this snap and crack should be a standalone comprehension activity based on a page. Think of another one. Why did he think he didn't fail? And that would be line 5, where it says not fail, so he didn't fail. Line 5 and line 6, he did not fail. What didn't he fail to do? He didn't fail to catch fish. He didn't fail to not catch fish. He said, I caught 6 fish, line 6. He caught 6 fish, so he didn't fail. He did catch some fish. And then, okay, what are we going to say for the right? So you get the idea. There's so much you can do out of this, but keep it as oral, as a spoken activity, so that you get as many people engaged and involved as possible. If you've got time, you might write the writer's response, the class, the group have decided on. You might write that on the board, but keep this short, 10-15 minutes, and try and get every single child talking. So at the very beginning, we might start off with a piece of text that is going to look fairly familiar to the brain, so that the children are confident. Oh, okay, I know a lot of those words because I know the sound pics, the graphemes in those words. I can work it out. And there are only a few words that they can't. However, because they know the speech sound monsters and they can learn them before they start school very quickly and easily, they can work out the words that they couldn't work out without the monsters, because they haven't looked at those graphemes in their explicit systematic phonics teaching using the SSP 30-minute phonics program. But we need the children to be exposed to them and using them as early as possible. So these snap and cracking comprehension activities that I'm giving you for the whiteboards, if you're in the online training, then it follows the same sort of format, but it's done for you. So slide 1, let the students follow the monster sounds to say the word. They write down any words they aren't sure of. Even if they can follow the monster sounds, they might not understand what that word means. Then you're going to discuss those words. So here they follow the monster sounds to say the word st, at and stand, so at, sat, it and in, the, put, at and pan. Stand, sat, in the pan. Ouch, ouch, he said, ouch, he said. They might write down ouch, although I would imagine that they won't know what that means. Slide 2 doesn't have the speech sound monsters. You're just going to show them the code mapped text and do speedy group code mapping, which means they look at it, you follow the sounds, they say the word. Then they're going to read it aloud to themselves in a speaking voice, because by now they know what those words are, even if they're just parroting them back, but they're going to say them in a speaking voice, no robot voices. So you're following the monster sounds, they say the word. St, atten, class says stan. At, class says sat. Eaten, class says in, etc. Then, brilliant, now you read the words in a speaking voice. Stan sat in the pan. Ouch, he said. Okay, so now on that same slide, you're going to ask the questions. So what I'll do here is I'll give you on a piece of paper that you can just read separately, your suggested questions. And I'm just reminding you, like, who is in the pan? So the spoken response might be line 1, Stan. What's your written response? Line 1, Stan sat in the pan. What is Stan doing in the pan? So the spoken response might be line 1, sitting. Written response might be line 1, Stan is sitting in the pan. What does Stan say? So your spoken response might be line 2, ouch. Written response might be line 2, Stan said ouch. Why did Stan say ouch? So this is open-ended. Let the children decide. Why do they think he said ouch? What room do you think he's in? And again, they're making a deduction here. Line 1. Well, what room is he in? How do we know this? Well, line 2 isn't going to help us much, but line 1, well, we know he sat in a pan. Okay, well, where might we find a pan? So they say line 1, I think Stan is in the kitchen because he's sitting in a pan and we find pans in the kitchen. That might be a written response. But can you see how much we can get out of this? It's 2 lines, for goodness sake. The first line, the children can decode within the first term of prep, even if they've come into school with absolutely nothing. Because it's the green code level, and they'll be doing that in their 30-minute phonics, SSP 30-minute phonics program. So the 3 words that they have in the second line, well, the he and said, they're going to have looked at in their duck level words as well. So it's really just ouch, if they haven't looked at the OU and the CH, if they're not at the yellow code level. So we're thinking of all of this like a puzzle of which graphemes do they know. If they don't know them, how we're going to help them by giving them speech sound monsters. And then, okay, let's give them text that we can then really explore the comprehension element, really get them to talk, really develop that verbal intelligence, because the text is manageable with regards to the decoding, the phonics. It's just logical. It just makes sense. Okay, so line 3, this time they're going to read it aloud again, but with expression. And this time we're at the text that they would see in a regular book. It's not code mapped, it's not monster mapped. This is what it's going to look like. Might not be this font, but this is what it's going to look like. So you see how we're bringing all together so that in prep in year 1, we're making sure they have all the skills needed to be able to pick up any book that has no real clues in, might not have any pictures, certainly won't have any code mapping or monster mapping, and they can actually read it and they understand how to read it and pick it apart and understand the words. So they've been able to figure it out with the monsters. They've been able to see the phoneme to grapheme mapping. We call it SSP code mapping. We're showing it here using our patented technique, black, grey, to show those splits. We start on black and we carry on all the way through. So we're showing the brain, and this is also helping with their spelling. And then at the end, we're showing how they will see it in a regular book. And slide 4. Let them work out what happened next and discuss. They might discuss with a partner, discuss in a group, what have you. And then you'll finish off with showing slide 5 to end the session. Stan sat in the pan. Ouch, he said. What happened next? What happened next? Da, 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 da. So they're going to talk about it to themselves, to their partners, in a group, however you want to set it up. And then when I show the next slide, there's going to be even more discussion. Look at that, he's using his water pistol. He's going to shoot the flames. He's so cross because when he sat in it, he went ouch because it was so hot. So when he sat in that pan, when we were thinking about, well, why did he say ouch? He said ouch because he was sitting in a hot pan. It wasn't a pin, it wasn't a whatever the children thought. So in a way, even though we're giving this short piece of text, we've kind of given them a whole story, talking about what they can see, what they think, what's going to happen next, what did happen next. So it's almost like this whole brings it all together in this very, very simple activity, snap and crack, cracking comprehension. Are you ready? First, we'll monster map it. Then we'll map the code. Soon we'll understand the words. We're on the reading road. Woohoo! Okay, here's another. Follow the monster sounds to say the word. Write down any words you're not sure of. St, at and stan were Oz was. Put a and itten painting. Stan was painting. Up, to out and down. He said. Up, down, he said. Painting. Up, down, he said. So the children work out the text using the monsters or the code mapping. So they've written down any words they're not sure of. And then they'll see the code map text. You might even get a student to follow the monster sounds, the class said the words. And to be honest, very quickly, if you had a relief teacher in, the children would be able to lead this themselves. So it's always great to have a relief teacher that is SSP trained, but if not, we're making sure the children can work independently using the resources. But if you have a great relief teacher, get them to do the online training. Okay, so the leader, follow the monster sounds. St, atten, the class says stan. Were Oz, the class says was. Put a nt, itten, the class says painting. Stan was painting. Up, to out and down. He said. Up, down, he said. Let's do it together. Stan was painting. Up, down, he said. What is Stan doing? So they might say, line 1, painting. Written response, line 1, Stan was painting. Oh, and hopefully one child has said, the speech and frog's taken away some of the punctuation. I can see a missing full stop. What did Stan say? So the spoken response might be, up, down. The written response might be, Stan said, up, down. Was Stan asking a question? They might say, line 2, no. They might say, as a written response, line 2, Stan was not asking a question, and we know this because the punctuation includes an exclamation mark. Decide what the written response is, but that's, you need to give the full explanation. What is it? Well, it's because in line 2, there's not a question mark. He's not saying up, down. He's saying up, down with an exclamation mark. So he's not asking it in a question. What does that tell us? Well, you can keep extending. What does that tell us? Well, it tells us that as writers, we can determine how people talk in the text, how the expression they use. Why did Stan say up, down? So here they're going to say, well, we don't know. Perhaps it's something to do with line 1, painting, but we're not sure because of the text. And get the children really talking to one another, to you, about why they think he said up, down. They might have a father who's a painter. So it might mean something a little bit more for them. It might not. Let them talk. That's what this is all about. Where do you think Stan was? So again, they're going to think, well, we know he's painting. Well, okay, for his painting, where might he be? So again, you're getting them to think, to talk. It doesn't, our answers aren't black and white, here it is in the text. That's not what reading is all about, is it? It's about your imagination. It's about your prior experiences. It's just magical. Reading is magical because there are so many facets to it. So that's what we're teaching children, even at this early stage when they might not be able to decode a huge amount of the text on their own. So now they're going to read it aloud with expression, with the regular text. So it goes from Stan was painting, up, down, he said, where they can see that code mapping. And on the next slide, they're going to actually read it without the help, without the code mapping help. But we've scaffolded it up to this stage. Stan was painting. Up, down, he said. Slide 4, we're going to show them the picture and then discuss it. So Stan was painting. Up, down, he said. So why is he saying up, down? Get them to talk about it. Because he's moving the paintbrush up and down as he's painting. What's he painting? He's painting the fence. Do you know anyone who paints your fence? Do you have your fence at your house? You could talk and ask questions all afternoon. What? Her app and happened next. What happened next? So you could extend this into a writing activity. It would be lovely if we could do snap and crack, cracking comprehension, followed by writing for a purpose. Unfortunately, a lot of teachers don't have that opportunity. You're pretty much told what you need to do, the genre, the whatever else, and that's fine. But if I was working in the prep class, I would love to be able to carry this on so that we've done our comprehension and it leads straight into writing because it's fresh in their minds. They're excited about what they've just read and it just all comes together. But that's what I would do if I was a prep or year one teacher. Unfortunately, as teachers, we don't get that freedom enough. And that is another thing that we need to be talking about. We're the best people to do this. We're the best people to meet the needs of our students. We're teachers. We're working with these children. We're listening to what they're saying. We know the individual students. A comprehension activity is going to be personal for your class. Even if the activity is the same, if we watch these activities in 10 different classrooms, the outcomes, what happens is going to be different. We need to be discussing these things. Anyway, I hope that's useful, and please do the online training. This is part of it, and the people who are doing the online training, you get 6-month access to the online training where I'll just keep writing these and writing these and writing these, which means you can put them up until you become really confident at doing it yourself. Although, to be honest, even when you are confident, which is probably going to happen really quickly, who's got the time? Your teachers. I'm not teaching anymore. I hate not being in the classroom. So I love being able to hear how you're getting in the classroom, and I love to be able to help you make teaching easier. So I'll just keep creating these and use what you can. Thanks so much for watching. If you're working with children, whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, and you're watching this because you're looking for a way to excite children, to get them reading for pleasure, you're just really passionate about the learning process, understanding that yes, the children need to learn pretty much the same things, how to read, write, spell, count, etc. But how do we do it? How do we teach them so the learning process is amazing and helps them to be lifelong learners who are curious and independent, argumentative, problem solvers? So thank you for joining me. I hope I can help, and I would love to hear from you.